Hi, I'm talking to William Post, Town Manager of Bodenham, and Patricia O, Coordinator of Older Adult Services for Bodenham. And I'm talking to them about how an advisory committee on aging was developed. Can you tell us a little bit, Bill?
Sure. We were in the process of beginning to rewrite our comprehensive plan after it had been 10 years or more. And during that process, it was discovered that the median age in Bodenham was 43.7. That's from the 2010 census data. And it was also discovered that that was higher than the state median age. In addition, it was discovered that Bodenham residents were aging faster, or the overall population was aging faster than the rest of the state. Residents over the age of 65 in Bodenham during 2000-2010, that number increased by 39%, and the state increase was 15% during that same period of time. So from that,
quite a difference.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously, while they're looking at the next 10 years or so for the comprehensive planning process, obviously the baby boomers are coming to the point where they're getting to be 65 or older in the next 10 years. So from that discussion in the comprehensive planning process, it was agreed that a needs assessment should be performed on the aging population and what the needs might be over the next 10 years. And that's actually where Patricia came in. She actually, before she was our coordinator of older adult services, she wrote the, I guess for lack of a better word, researched and wrote the aging assessment for us. And in the aging assessment, there were basically, the focus group suggested that Bodenham needed to take some steps to become more age friendly. And again, tied back to the comprehensive plan. So just in a brief nutshell, the focus groups stated that there needed to be increased communication, specifically a regularly distributed list of social opportunities, town activities, opportunities for community involvement, as well as information about programs and services offered by the town to support aging in place. It was a major component of that. In addition, they suggested that there be an information and referral source, specifically the availability of a local resource person to help older residents access services located in and outside Bodenham that can promote aging safely in the community. Suggested we develop a volunteer base, a person to develop, coordinate, and administer a network of volunteers willing to take time to help older and disabled residents. The promotion of inclusiveness, specifically enhancement of a town environment, promoting inclusiveness of all ages and abilities in town-sponsored activities. We have a huge number of activities and events that happen for a town of less than 3,000 people. We want to make sure that all of the community, especially the aging population, is involved in those events and feels included in those events, because there's obviously a wealth of information from them, and we want them part of the community. And then last, they suggested the development of a senior center or a community building, or at least a dedicated space to start out with, where older adults can socialize or participate in activities that interest them. So from that, those 5 points in the needs assessment, there was an informal meeting amongst interested residents in that, and there was a select board that an advisory committee on aging be formed, and the board agreed, and that was back in November 2012.
Mm-hmm.
When the committee was formed.
So now you're on board, Patricia, and so how are you defining age friendly, and what has it started to mean in Bodenham?
Well, an age friendly community is one that provides both the social and the physical environment for older adults to be of all abilities. So it's the healthy older adult as well as the frail older adult, so that they can all age optimally within this community. And in Bodenham, There have been a number of activities and events that are sort of geared toward the younger, healthier older adults, and then there's also been the development of the senior center, which is more for the people who are a little bit frailer. They've started to have trips to take people all over the state. There was an increase in accessibility at Celebrate Bodenham, which is a town
event that celebrates Bodenham, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a town fair. It's a very big event in this community.
Yeah.
And so they did a number of things to make it more accessible for people who are frailer. So actually the community itself has come to define age friendliness in a way that's quite specific to Bodenham. The WHO designation that you talked about, the World Health Organization, based on their work with active aging, understanding that supporting older adults' desire to age actively in their own community is an important part of maintaining health and well-being in old age. They went ahead and they created the program, which is the Global Network of Age-Friendly Cities and Communities. Currently, there are 209 communities all around the world in 26 countries that are part of the WHO network, and Bodenham, Maine is the very first one in the state of Maine to join.
Congratulations! That's neat.
What they did is they came up with sort of a checklist, some guidelines for communities to sort of think about to make their communities more age-friendly. Those guidelines are things that include housing, communication and information, transportation, accessible outdoor spaces and buildings, social participation, respect and social inclusion, civil participation and employment, and community supports and health services. If you think about a large city, you can sort of easily imagine how all of these things would play out, but even in a town like Bodenham, they are playing out. So, for example, housing. The Committee on Aging has formed a subcommittee on safety and accessibility looking at home modification and how you can get the information out there so that homeowners can modify their homes to live safely. So even in a small community, you can really use these criteria. And now I get to brag about the Advisory Committee on Aging, which is 8 amazing, fabulous residents in this town who dedicate an incredible amount of time to making the community more aging friendly. All of them are in their 60s and early 70s, and hopefully they're not listening right now and I out their age. One still works full-time as a farmer. 2 work part-time. Everybody else is retired. They all have a significant background in aging services as well as in aging issues. They also have a backgrounds in grant writing, program administration, state and local government, as well as a significant knowledge of town history. Who do you need to know to make things work in a little town like that? They do 2 things. They advise the select board when they think that there are changes that need to be made, but they also have created all of the programs and all of the activities that you've heard about have all started and been sponsored by the Committee on Aging. So they literally dedicate over 1,000 hours a year as a committee to the town.
Many of the activities are actually hosted or are provided by members that are on that committee.
Wow.
And actually, the committee itself has obviously been in existence. One of their recommendations to the select board was to create the position that Patricia is in, the coordinator of older adult services, and that was funded in this fiscal year's budget starting in July of this year. We were very fortunate to have somebody of Patricia's caliber to be working with them on a part-time basis. Now the next step is to plan, put together a strategic plan for the next 1, 3, 5, maybe years from the committee's perspective to take to the select board to determine what it is we need to continue the work.
That sounds wonderful. I have one more question that wasn't in our original list. It's related to communicating with people. Of course, there's one more question. But the class has been discussing how to get people involved in town meeting and strategic planning and comprehensive planning, all those kinds of things, or in this case in your committee. And we talked about how push notifications have occurred when there are emergencies, and the fact that a lot of people now use text messages where mobile phones don't work. And these are new tools, and have you started using different ways to communicate events or communicate with your committees?
Not yet. The town of Bodenham, again, is about a little less than 3,000 people, but they're very active when it comes to, obviously using the sources that we have, whether it's social media, Facebook, or things like that. We certainly use that as much as we can. Email, obviously. But then there are those that are, we'll just say, technology challenged, but they're more than willing to touch on the network that we've developed, whether it's through phone calls with committee members, whether it's coming into the town office, whether it's talking at the town office. So we're working on those types of methods currently. We haven't really touched base yet on the other types of communication. Patricia, I don't know if you want to.
Although yesterday we had an example of a little crisis that happened in the world of the advisory committee on aging. And one of the members actually got on a Facebook page, which is not administered by the town, it's Bodenham Friends and Family, and said, we need to find this item, and got responses to that. So the committee will find ways within the communication structure to get what they need, if that makes any sense.
I think the first step for us, thinking about it as we get more and more into social media, that's the first step, I think, whether it's Twitter or other avenues similar to that. I think that's probably the first step, because you have to keep in mind the audience that you're trying to communicate with as well, because there are some that are very technologically savvy, and then there are others that aren't. So it is a challenge, certainly, to figure out how to communicate with them.
Well, I thank you very much for all your help in letting us understand a new issue and a new way to work with an issue, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.